Good morning, everybody. Wherever you're watching from, live from the Elendo TV, Abuja precisely. We are here for the ADC convention to hear what the people has to say.
We welcome former this and former that in ADC, but coming to ADC, completely hijacking the party, removing the old legacy party members is not a way to save Nigeria from the crisis that ADC have put us in. Therefore, I don't understand it. I don't just understand when in different states, so former this, former that, people who were this and that during the period of PDP will now come out and decide that because they were former this, former that legacy members are no longer accommodated in ADC. That will not happen. I mean, not in Ebonyi State. We are from Ebonyi State, and if you watch online now, you discover that there are two versions of ADC in Ebonyi State. One is the Sam Egwu-led version. Two is the state chairman-led version. I don't understand how a former governor, a former senator, a former minister would come to a state and then he would want to remove 9,000 registered members that are already members of the party before you came into the party. We will not allow it. Again, I say it. We will not allow it. Ask me a question.
Are you trying to tell me that that today's convention will determine the future of Nigeria?
I am trying to tell you that today's convention can only determine the future of Nigeria on one instance. Justice. That instance is that in every state we go, the legacy members of ADC, other members of party coming in, must be able to work together. That is the meaning of coalition. This party was founded on the principles of coalition. So if you go to every state and there is a fashion, it means the leaders of ADC in that state that there is something wrong with them. It means they are not carrying a fashion or not. It means that agreements are not being reached. It means that the coalition is not working. So this convention would only make a meaning if all the members of ADC are united to one table, have agreements, have negotiations, and then are able to work together to defeat the APC-led administration. Other than that, we are just making us of ourselves.
The worst of it is that the persons who kill Labour Party, the people who kill PDP in 2023 have all ganged up together to remove and kill ADC, and we are saying we no go agree. Yes. Come to somebody's house and take a person away.
Hijacking the party from legacy members is not acceptable. Excluding people who were former members of the party because you feel you want to overthrow a ruling party is not the right way to overthrow a ruling party. People have made sacrifices. People have been in the party before coalition happened. Yes, people have been there. There were congresses in ADC 4 years ago. In 2022, ADC as a party had a congress. And so why will 2026 Congress become different from the 2022 Congress? Why is it that some people believe that others should be excluded? My own petition, my own argument is as it concerns ADC in Ebonyi State. And I stand to say it vehemently, that we will not allow anybody, be you this, be you that, to come and take over our party, remove members of the party, and then decide that you will hijack the party and use it for party business. Because what is happening is party business. In Ebonyi State, we had 2 factional congresses. Let me shock you. One was hosted by the state chairman. The other was hosted by the leader of the party, who is a former governor. Now, when the members of the National Working Committee, who were made the electoral committee came, do you know what they did? They left the state party chairman and went to a congress hosted by a party leader. How can a congress hold without the already existing state party chairman? What is the legality of that congress? That is what I'm asking.
I have a question for you.
Please ask me.
I have a question for you. My question is this. Do you think ADC would not do the same thing they've done?
ADC?
Yes.
That is what we are saying. ADC is what we are talking about.
Yes. How are we sure ADC is not going to repeat the same status quo?
That is exactly why we are fighting. Because the way I see it, where we are going is very far from what we are promising Nigerians.
So how are we sure ADC will do better?
ADC can only do better when
We are not sure. In fact, at this point, I must say the truth. We are not sure. In 25 states, 25 states of the federation came together. Their party leaders came together. Their chairman and sued the current party chairman, national chairman. That case is in court. We have another version of ADC, a member of the NEC, who is purportedly a resigned member, who sued the national to court also. In different states, we have party leaders who hijacked the party from the house of the state working committee. And so, if that keeps repeating, we don't have anything to promise Nigerians. We must tell ourselves the truth.
Okay.
The only way you can promise Nigeria a possible change is when the leaders of the party become sincere. See my fear. My fear is that some of this former that are bringing in the same dirty politics they began to play. Because these were the people in power in 1999 to 2003, down to 2015. They were in power. Some of them are coming with the same sense, with the same mindset, with the same hijacking power, bringing in authority, suppressing party members who are nothing, who they feel are nothing, who they feel cannot challenge them, using their might and their money. How do you want ADC to succeed? Like I said, in Ebonyi State, we have 9,000 members who were already part of ADC before Sam Egu, the former governor of Ebonyi State, joined the party. 9,000 members before Linus Okorie, the former two-time House of Assembly member, joined the party. He has not even officially registered with his ward. As we speak, he just did an online registration, refused to call his ward chairman, refused to call his local government chairman. He was not able to register as we speak. In fact, let me make it known that I am not even sure he has resigned from the Labour Party where he came from. And yet, he is here in our party, causing commotion, having people, buying people, making people believe that.
You see him promoting Labour Party candidates.
Yes.
Is that not anti-party?
Yeah.
That's anti-party. He has not registered. These men are businessmen. That's what they do. That's what they did to PDP in 2023. They bought PDP, bought the structure and went and sold it. They are not interested in victory of the party. What they do is that their money. That is what they are after. And we say no, it cannot happen. We are calling on the National Working Committee to intervene and solve the crisis in ADC in Ebonyi State. That's why we are here, sir.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful.